Rain misted across the small town's main street like a soft veil, the lamplight pooling in golden circles on the wet pavement. A patrol car idled outside a bakery, its windows fogged from the damp evening air. Inside sat Officer James Carter, sipping his lukewarm coffee, eyes scanning the quiet neighborhood out of habit more than expectation. This was the kind of town where little ever happened, until that night. Out of the haze, a tiny figure emerged, sprinting barefoot across the street, hair plastered to her face, cheeks streaked with tears. She couldn't have been older than 7. She slammed her small palms against the patrol car door, gasping for breath, eyes wide with panic. In a trembling voice, she begged the officers to follow her home. Something was terribly wrong. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroism of everyday people, please like this video, comment with your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. Your support helps us bring more true and heart-touching stories like this one to light. Officer Carter's instincts kicked in before his mind had caught up. He and his partner stepped out into the rain, the girl clutching at Carter's hand as if it were a lifeline. She led them down narrow back streets, past darkened houses and swaying laundry lines. Her small feet splashed through puddles, but she never slowed. The deeper they went into the older part of town, the clearer it became that this was not a prank or a lost child call. The girl's house, when they reached it, stood at the end of a gravel lane under a sagging oak tree. Its windows glowed faintly from a single lamp. The front door was ajar. Inside was a scene that froze even the seasoned officers. A frail woman, the girl's mother, lay unconscious on the living room floor, her hand still gripping a phone that had died mid-dial. The room smelled of gas from a stove left on and of damp blankets. The officers moved quickly, opening windows, shutting off the stove, radioing for paramedics. The girl hovered in the doorway, shaking, clutching a stuffed rabbit to her chest. Carter crouched beside the woman, checking her breathing, his heart hammering in his chest. In all his years on the force, few calls had hit him this hard. The paramedics arrived and carried the mother out on a stretcher, oxygen mask in place. The girl reached for her mother's hand, but couldn't keep up. Carter knelt down and told her she'd done the bravest thing anyone could have done. She had saved her mother's life. In the ambulance bay at the hospital later that night, Carter learned more. The mother had been working 2 jobs since her husband died, barely scraping by. That evening, she had collapsed from exhaustion and low blood sugar while cooking dinner. The gas had leaked. If the girl hadn't run for help, the story might have ended very differently. Carter drove the girl back to the station while doctors worked on stabilizing her mother. They gave her cocoa and a dry blanket, and she curled up on a bench looking suddenly very small. Carter thought of his own daughter asleep at home and felt a lump rise in his throat. He decided then that this child and her mother wouldn't slip through the cracks. Over the following weeks, Carter and his wife rallied the community. Neighbors brought groceries. The local church helped with bills. A volunteer group repaired the family's old heater and sealed the gas lines. The girl returned to school, shy at first, but soon began smiling again. Months later, Carter and his wife attended the girl's 8th birthday party. Her mother, healthier and steadier now, hugged them both with tears in her eyes. She told Carter she had been close to giving up completely before that night, but her daughter's courage and the kindness of strangers had pulled her back. Carter looked around the small living room filled with balloons and neighbors and felt something shift inside him, too. The job he'd been doing for 20 years suddenly felt brand new again. Not a routine, but a calling. The story of the little girl spread quietly through the town, inspiring others to check on elderly neighbors, volunteer at shelters, and keep an eye out for small signs of distress. What began as one terrified child's dash through the rain became a ripple of compassion touching hundreds of lives. And for Carter, it reaffirmed the reason he'd pinned on the badge in the first place, not to enforce rules, but to protect the vulnerable and remind people that help is always closer than they think. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you of the quiet power of compassion and second chances, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to Hidden Hearts, and leave a comment about how it made you feel. Your engagement helps us continue to tell stories that move and inspire people around the world. And before we close, we have a special request. Comment below and tell us about a time when a child's courage or a stranger's kindness inspired you. Your story might be the one that gives someone else the courage to act when it matters most.